Hey, everybody. It's Lori Peterson with the Capital Film Arts Alliance. Our Capital Film Arts Alliance CFAA Film Talk program, bringing at you another industry professional who can give some great insight to her journey in the industry as a screenwriters agent. So those of you who want to know a whole lot more about how to finesse a writing career into something that's working in the film industry, this is a great conversation to be a part of. So the CFAA, if you're new to us, we are a nonprofit based in Sacramento, California, and we service all of the Northern California region, and now through Facebook, the world. We're very happy to have you join us. And we work really hard to grow not only the film industry in our region, but also to connect the people and to grow their skills. So hence this new program that we've been hosting, CFAA Film Talk, has been a great hit already, and we're so happy to have you here. So tonight we have this is our typical Screenwriter Lab meeting night. Oh man, I didn't hear 10 people holler, yay. Not allowed to say that without hearing yay in the background. So that's one of the losses of the COVID, unfortunately. We can't be all together to celebrate this. But anyway, we have Jack Dever and Rick Keebler, who are the coordinators for our Screenwriters Lab every week or every month with the CFAA. And they are hosting a conversation with screenwriter agent Babz Bitela. Babz has been a friend of ours, and we've hosted another writer's workshop in person with her a few years ago that was something people still ask about and comment on. So we can't wait to have her come back in person. But in the meantime, we've got this live conversation. You can ask questions. You can tune in and get a lot of really good information. And just let people know that you're here because we're all in the same boat. We're trying to make things happen, and knowing that we have you in that fight it helps us to keep wanting to do things. If you have any questions about the CFAA, our website is capitalfilmarts.org. You can join as a member of the CFAA. You can donate to the CFAA. We are a nonprofit organization, and no one is making any money. The money comes right back to the CFAA and the programs that we put on. So with no further ado, let me introduce Jack and Rick. Come on, there they are. Okay,
hey, how's it going?
Jack and Rick.
Lori, we did cheer. We did cheer when we heard the CFAA Writers Lab. You just didn't hear us cheering. So we were cheering.
So as I introduce the co-captains of the CFAA Screenwriters Lab.
Yay!
Yay! I can hear Will in my ear. I don't know why. I can hear Will. Okay, so Jack and Rick, two of my board members that are just so giving and so generous and so creative. They've both produced feature films, written and produced feature films in the last couple of years recently, have learned so much that they're just willing to pass on. And now they get to carry this conversation on with Babz. So with no further ado, I'm going to leave the conversation. I'm going to leave it to these guys. And now introducing Babz Bitela. Come on in, Babz.
Hi.
All right.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Rick. Hi, Jack. Thank you for all the wonderful support you always give CFAA and what you do, all the oxygen you bring to the game, and the encouragement you give me, a little guy in the middle of nowhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, speaking of being a little guy in the middle of nowhere, how did you get to be where you are right now?
I wrote a novel and an agent in Citrus Heights, California, who had just retired and moved here because his wife needed a doctor here. read my book and loved it. And he said, I don't think there's a market for your book because this story in a way has been done to death, but I love your writing. How about you come on board and co-agent with me and help me pitch? And I said, okay. You know, he knew I was a publicist. He knew I had been an editor, and not a great one, but a much better than average editor. And I had an excellent ear for voice and dialogue, and he spotted that skill in me. And so that was kind of humbling because this is Lee Marvin's friggin' financial guy. I mean, the guy knows his stuff. He worked with Minsky. He worked with, I mean, the guy was just, it was humbling. So I came on board and I got lucky quick. I found a script that had a wonderful hook. We tweaked it a little bit with the writer. I asked her to put it on ink tip, and lo and behold, lightning striked. That particular screenplay was sold very quickly. Now, because I was so new in the industry, I decided to fly down to Southern California, meet my lawyer face to face, to assemble my team, meet the people from screenplayreaders.com, because I trust them to read and give good coverage on the the writers I send their way. So I wanted faces to be accountable to me. Okay, I'm an Italian from New York. If you mess this up, you're going to hear about it. So in the end, all I had to do was know what the producer did, how it was going to be funded, got greenlit. It did not make film, but it made TV every Christmas that goes on. Sure enough, my writer got a royalty check last year. So the moral of the story is you never know what cosmic bumper cars are going to head your way based on what you're doing. You might set out to go to England and you may end up in Afghanistan. So you don't know what you don't know. You know, we're all cosmic bumper cars. And Ed was just an amazing mentor. Once I sold that screenplay, he made me partner, gave me the business, and then I just kept selling options. Still doing it today.
So
Cool.
nice. So a lot of our, like, oh, I'm sorry, Rick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. So a lot of our writers are speakers or intermediates, and maybe you could tell them exactly what the role of an agent is for somebody.
It's changed. In fact, it's changed so much. I'm going to transition to manager in October, and there's a couple of reasons for that. To be an agent in the state of California, you have to be licensed and bonded. So when Ed passed away, he left me enough money to stay open for 2 years legally, because you have to be licensed to be an agent. Now, if you're an agent like me, who's in the WGA like me, you are not allowed to charge for your time. No agent is allowed to charge for their time, period. So I'm really donating my free time to writers to try and get them sold for very little money. Now, the reason I do this is it's part boredom, part insanity, but plus I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing dreams on the page. It excites me, especially when the writing is great. So because there's no real money in being an agent, I'm transitioning to manager, which brings me to your question, what's the difference? Not much. I still have to guide, I still have to coach, I still have to direct. I coach, I guide, I direct. That's what I do. I don't tell you what to do. If an offer comes in, I tell you, sleep on it. This is the slowest business in the world. You're not going to get greenlit tomorrow. You can wait a day. But too many people think that that screenplay is a lottery ticket. And my job is to educate them to the reality of what they're facing. And their efforts are so admirable. But it is a Herculean miracle if something gets greenlit and distributed. It's a miracle. If people knew what you guys are great because you know what's involved in getting a film made and out there. A lot of people don't. You guys know more than I do, I'm sure. I know about the subject matter, but the technical stuff, I leave that to people like Jason Bortz and Craig Clyde, my two busiest clients. But yeah, I'll tell you, there's not much of a difference. Really isn't. I'm going to save money, and I get more of a commission, 15% versus 10. So that's kind of nice.
You know, we have a wide variance of writers with Writers Guild, or the lab that we have. But what would you say would be for a novice? You were talking about novices. What would be some of the major mistakes they might make in writing their first screenplay?
Oh boy, sending out a first draft and telling me I just finished so-and-so. As soon as I see I have just completed my screenplay, the hallway was black. I won't even open it. I won't open the pitch. I won't even read it. But I will respond and say, here's how we roll. This is our protocol. This is how us kids roll in the Shire. If you're interested, hit me back. The main thing people don't realize is, and this is massively important, they think a WGA registration protects them. It does not. I can tell you I'm WGA. It does not. You must have a U.S. copyright case form at least started, and eventually you'll have a case, which proves you own the material. Why is that? It's like selling a car. I can't sell the car without the title, because the producer's going to say to me when he buys the screenplay, you got to prove to me that this writer legally owns this particular work so that I can get money into escrow to shoot it. Well, if I don't have proof of copyright, I'm not touching it. In fact, Ed, before he died, said, you're not reading anything that isn't U.S. copyright protected anymore. And I was kind of happy to hear that, because it did two things. It protected our company, but it made me coaching new people how to do this right. And that's the other thing that Ed taught me. So easy to pay it forward. I'm just giving new people oxygen. So don't say, I just finished. Don't say that in your pitch. That's not attractive to me.
So you're an agent here in Northern California. I'm guessing there aren't that many up here. But how would somebody like a writer in our group in Sacramento go about finding an agent?
Oh, it's so easy. You go to the WGA website. It's WGA.org. There's so many. But if I'm a writer, I would never approach an agent. That's bass backwards. The chain of command is you write the screenplay, you get coverage, you make it perfect. You get rid of typos, you make it clean. You do. I talked to a manager before I came on with you guys, and I said, what makes you know that a script is ready when you look at it? She said, it's got to be executed perfectly. You would not believe how many typos we see on page 1, for God's sake. Now, I'm guilty of that. I have to step aside, let it set up like Jello, and come back to it. I did that with my novel. I proofread it, 1,000 times. I still missed one. Point is, get another set of eyes on it. But having said that, when you look at this stuff all the time, and then okay, it's as good as it's going to get, you don't want to pitch an agent. You pitch producers who are like-minded. You go on IMDb Pro, you see what they've produced, you try to get their email address or their snail mail address. You say, hi, I've rewritten this, I've tweaked it, I've had table reads, I won 5 contests. This is what I've done. This is the log line, this is the page count. It's a contained shoot, it's got limited. You give them the bones in the pitch. You get in and you get out. Then the producer will say, oh, what happened to me today? Producer said, let me read Jason Bortz's script, The Gemini. Okay, that's because I pitched it. Jason is giving me material. I'm taking it to producers. Jason already has an agent, but if you don't have one, you pitch producers. Why? Because you're competing against writers who are doing the same thing. Once you get an offer from a producer, then you call an agent. You do nothing. You step away from the vehicle. You put your hands up. You say, okay, you call Barbara. Barbara, I have an agent from ABC Miracle Workers production arm. He wants to read my screenplay. I have to sign a release. Can you send it in? Absolutely. The first thing I'm going to do is vet the guy and make sure he's real. Make sure he's not some kid sitting in an igloo somewhere, because that's happened to me twice. It happens to the best of us. Doesn't mean we're stupid. It means we're kind. It means we're open-hearted. It means we're gracious, but we have been taken advantage of. Now, the good news is it didn't cost me anything. The bad news is the 2 people I'm talking about, it cost them time and money that they can't get back. So you got to pitch producers, and then the first thing I do is vet them. If I'm comfortable with what they tell me, and sometimes I'm not, to be honest, then I will send the screenplay. And that's it, because I want to know that there's an ass in the seat. I can't tell you how hard the internet makes everything and how easy the internet makes everything. So yeah, don't pitch agents, don't pitch managers. You want to pitch the producers, because they're the ones with the funding, they're the ones with the distribution deals. Go right to them. I'll tell you straight up, If I knew then what I know now, I would have probably built a cash stash of equity, and I would have just been an executive producer for Jason Bortz. Because the guy is so talented, I know I can make money if I could sell his screenplays. I know it. I just have to find a champion. And that's like screaming in space. There's, he's competing against 15, 16,000 WGA registered working writers. That's a bear. Still willing to do it. I'm willing to do it as long as he lets me. Let me say that.
Okay. So as a manager, are you looking for a writer who just has that one great script, or somebody who will be working constantly for you?
Oh, that's a great question.
Other projects and other
Rick, that's a great question, Rick. I'm going to have to parse that out. I'm not looking for anybody. They're looking for me. So what I try to do is coach, guide, and direct. What I've learned from my method is it works. But I have one writer who has one great script that I've been hawking for a couple of years. He is not somebody I'd put on set. He is not somebody I'd put up for a TV show. What he has is a super sweet, sensitive tale that won first place in the family faith-based genre. It's terrific. It's a story. It's called Playground Miracle. It's about how this cop stumbles on this hole in this track. And we come to find out that underneath it, they want to demo it to put this building up. And underneath it was one of the Underground Railroads to free the slaves. It is breathtaking. Oh, I'm getting the chills just thinking about it. It's so sweet. You read it so fast. You can't read it fast enough. He is a great writer for that particular screenplay. I wouldn't put him up for a TV show or anything like that. I know what the pressure is for TV writers, and they've got to be hands down capable, no drugs, grounded, superior wordsmiths. I mean, you have to know vocabulary inside and out. I would pitch Craig Clyde for a TV show, Jason Bortz, Robert Dylan, Lynn Beck, one of my more recent clients. She's very, very busy. She's getting me a lot of attention, which is weird. It's supposed to be the other way around. She's getting me attention. It's just weird. But yeah, I can't. Here's why. No one is promised a career. The only thing you can do is what you can do. You pitch one project at a time to one producer at a time and hope for the best. You plan for the worst. You tell the writer, look, keep a job, stay sane, do this for the writing, not the sale. Well, nobody wants to hear that. Well, that's the reality, okay? I can't give you my free time unless I have a part-time job to take care of my food and my roof. So I work as a notary, right? Okay, so I get that done, and that frees me up to give my time to people who have a dream. And my feeling is, if they get sold, like Lorraine Lacey did for a Christmas meal, I get to stand in the wings and go, I did my job, right? I got it done. I feel like a little bit of a hero for 8 or 9 minutes, and then it's back to reality.
So you were talking about coverage earlier. How do you go about getting coverage, and do you have like somebody you recommend, or?
Okay, a lot of people don't like coverage because they say that the people that read it, they rip it apart and this, and they didn't get me and all that. So that's why when I got his first screenplay sold, I flew down to Southern California and I met Brian O'Malley. Brian O'Malley has been in this industry forever. He's married, he's grounded, he's stable, he's a great guy. I said, look, I'm an agent. I don't have time for all these newbies. I'm going to send them your way. Now, I don't get a kickback. That would be, first of all, against the ethical oath with WGA, but I wouldn't do it anyway. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. So I don't get paid for it. But I wanted the green ones to be able to know, I'm not closing the door on you. Go get coverage. Find out what ails your script. Fix what ails it. Kick it back to me. Coverage isn't for me. It's for you. And you, 99% of the time, it's unbelievable. People say to me, thank God you told me to do that. So I recommend screenplayreaders.com. I also like Script Quack. Of course, the people over at Tracking Board are amazing. They cost a little more money. Carson Reeves, worth every penny, but expensive. But the guy's amazing. So you got to do your diligence. But for the average person who has a dream and wants to see that come to light, I love screenplayreaders.com. They're reasonable. And now I will flip that coin. I've gotten complaints about a couple of their readers. So I call the writer. I go, listen, you're missing the point of the coverage. The point of the coverage is not to make you feel bad. The point of the coverage is to poke holes where the other people may see holes you did not see. Okay? And you'd be shocked how they still stay pissed at me. Now that's the half a 1%. Most of them go, thank God you sent me there. Script is good. Take a read. And I'll take a read. And I got a client out of that. I still represent him, Wayne Bauer. Still my
So you mentioned that maybe the writer should be trying to contact producers, even before they contact you as an agent or manager. But how do you get that producer to actually consider your material? Is there some hidden way?
They either look at hang on a second. Pitching a screenplay is a lot like a blind date. You either fall in love or you don't. It's literally that simple. What does that mean? Okay, let's talk about it. Page 1, title page looks perfect. On to the next page. I read a script recently called Exit by Greg Houghton. Produced writer. His movie is called Growing Up Smith, won tons of awards. The guy's just got it. He just has it. He has voice. He has chops. He has integrity. He's got the right kind of ego strength. I read this script, Exit, couldn't put it down. I read it so fast, I actually found myself holding my breath. I was skimming so fast. That's when you know. I say this in my class when I teach. It's a lot like porn. You don't really know how to describe pornography, but you know it the minute you see it. For me, I can spot voice on the page immediately. I was part of Carson Reeves' reading group, and he sent 6 scripts out. He said, you're not allowed to Google. You're taking an oath. You got to read them. Give me notes. And one of the scripts he sent me was called The Revenant. Now, I didn't look it up. I did what I was told. And this is before the film came out, obviously. A couple of pages I read. It's a black star. The lead was an African-American. So I send Carson my review. I go, whoever gets this role, it's going to be a breakout role for a black actor. It is the single best script I've ever read. There's maybe 3 or 4 others, maybe 5 that tie with that. And he sent back, well, Barbara, Leonardo DiCaprio bought it. He's shooting it. He's about to go into post. And I almost fell off the chair. Fast forward to the movie coming out, and I'm talking to my liaison in New York. We have one novel writer we represent, and he's very busy. And Philip Turner says to me, oh, yeah, The Revenant's my book. I'm the one that sold it. I go, what? So my business partner in New York, who's doing the work for one of my literary writers, sold the book, The Revenant. So I told him the story about Carson Reeves. He goes, oh, yeah. He said they only did that because they really did want a black actor, according to what I heard. Okay? But evidently the rights go to whoever wants to buy it. My point is, when you open the script, The Revenant, I dare you to put it down. I'll get scripts that start, it just breaks my heart because I know how much they put into it. And I look at it and I go, what? What do you, now, I will say this. It's a wise idea to give a script that you've done to somebody who knows what scripts look like, meaning don't put a novel posing as a screenplay in a screenplay format, because we're going to know right away. If you're telling me he's got bad breath, that's one thing. But I want to know what he looks like, what his age is, what his gait is like. I want to know if he's, if he's, when he's throwing darts, he looks like, he's on steroids. I want to know this because the casting agent is going to want to know that, right? Plus, it sets up a visual. This is a visual medium. So the best thing to do when that happens is if I see something that's that weird, I kick back my form letter, which took a lot of time to craft. Ed approved it. He loves it. He loved it. And we tell them, here's what you need to do to tweak this. Here's where you need to go. This is a novel posing as a screenplay. You can do it. Go get them. So that's what we try to do. And for my taste is narrow. I don't like slasher. I don't like horror. I wouldn't know how to read a sci-fi. One of my favorite films is Arrival. And I read the screenplay and I go,
I don't know what's going on here. I have a blind spot for sci-fi, so I tell people, don't pitch me sci-fi. I'm not the agent for you for that. So totally not. And I admit it because now I will tell you also that I read Aliens, right? The second one, the Aliens 2, and I got it. But that's because he writes like he's talking. You know what I mean? If you read Cameron, he just talks. He just, it's wild. So my point is, narrative tug trumps everything. Narrative tug almost trumps grammar and spelling because, I mean, Tarantino can't spell. I mean, he can, but he doesn't care. He gets it on the page. But his writing is so good. When I read Django Unchained, I couldn't stop reading it. It was breathtaking. I actually did a show on it. Babz Buzz was a really fun show. Got a lot of calls on that too. The moral of that story is, again, that's how I personally know. And a lot of managers and agents are like me. They know their own, they know what they've seen so many that they can go, you know, you kind of get a feel. It's kind of like you get a feel for it. Oh, questions.
So,
I would love questions. Oh my God.
Our first question from somebody else in the world.
How do you get coverage done? Several years ago, I wrote coverage on my own screenplay, hoping it would get through. I used to write coverage for TriStar. That's very cool. Go to an independent person. You know, just go to a neutral third party because obviously you're not going to see things the way others do. So I would go to ScriptQuack, screenplayreaders.com, or Tracking Board. They do the blacklist too, which is very cool.
So what do you think about that?
I think the blacklist is very smart. I think the blacklist has clout, and I think they are they're in their lane. They know what they're doing in their lane. I mean, they got it. I would love for one of my clients to get an 8 or a 9 over there. My clients, the best they've done is a 7. Doesn't mean they can't get sold, by the way. But I think what the blacklist does is pretty cool. It's a brave and gallant effort, and I'll tell you what, they're often right.
Oh, we got a.
Oh, how funny! I'm so glad somebody mentioned that. First of all, thank you for your kind words, David. That's very sweet. I learned from Larry Cruz, who's a novel writer, that the worst thing you can do in a novel or a screenplay is do ing, which changes a verb to a gerund. You know, skiing, to ly words, adverb. Yeah. You want to keep the reader in the moment, right, Jack? You want to keep the reader in the moment, Rick. Dave's right. Dave is very on point. The tighter, the wider the page, meaning the least amount of description, the better. Now, sometimes you can't get away with that, but that's okay. Because here's what you want them to do. You want them to finish the screenplay. And if I open up 122 pages, just got a pitch from a very talented, beautiful girl on the East Coast. She said, it's my time. I'm a Black woman. I'm strong. I'm tough. It's a really good pitch. She gave me a great pitch. Screenplay's 122 pages. I said, girlfriend, love to read it. Can't. Don't have the time for it. Kick it back to me when it's, 100. Go get some coverage. Tweak it. I said, I can promise you your story will not suffer. I promise you. So she's going to kick it back to me. I don't close the door. She might have the new ET for all I know. I never close the door. But I have to be honest and candid. There's just no time to sit down and read 120 pages from an unproduced writer. It's just, what I could do, I suppose, and I've done this in the past, but I don't do it anymore, is I open it up and I look at it and I go, oh my God. I don't want to be turned off. You know what I mean? I'd rather kick it back to them and go, bad page count, kick me back, doors open. Okay, Karen Younger. Should I just read these, Rick and Jack?
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't see them. Jack, you do, I guess.
I do.
I don't see any of them.
Okay, so then I'll just continue. Okay, you guys just give me a stop when you want me to shut up. I registered my script in Page Awards last month, and before doing so, got the copyright. Is that what you were saying to do? Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Will winning any level of Page Awards get me notice? Well, here's what you do if you win, and even if you place. You open with that in your pitch. You say, here's the log line, here's the page count, limited locations. And don't let me forget about limited locations, Jack. I got to get back to that.
Writing it down.
Yeah, don't let me forget about that. Limited locations versus low budget. Okay. The reason why we talked about copyright earlier, so you can review, you can play back. Okay. The reason why you want to mention a win, even if you don't win or a place, is because it gives your work a level of seriousness. It shows the people you're pitching that you've done some work. And not only have you done the work, but guess what? Somebody else noticed, and it's not your grandmother. Now, you've got this wonderful little semi-finalist or whatever win. You open, dear producer, I noticed that you are the producer for Amityville Horror. Here's my log line. Here's the page count. I placed in the page awards. Here's a brief pitch of what it is. It's Jaws in space. You know, what happens is this guy gets stuck, and you do one paragraph, the contact information, because if they want to make an offer, then you call the agent or a manager. They will talk you in off the ledge because you're going to, the first thing you're going to think is your career is there. No. Oh, no. Ask any hairdresser who's done their first haircut. They would never do that again, right? They practice. They just do. So when you do that, you lead with your street cred, right? It gives you a little street cred. And then you do your pitch. And then you say, you can reach me at da-da-da. And that happened today, coincidentally. Once again, thank God, Jason Bortz, I got a request. And so I vet them and we go from there. So the point is don't sign anything. If someone makes you an offer, don't sign anything. That's when you get an agent and or a manager to help you. And eventually you'll probably have a lawyer, because the truth is managers are great. They're armchair psychologists. They help their clients a lot. So are agents. I can tell you, I've talked a couple of my clients in off the ledge many times. In the end, you really just need a lawyer. That's the God's honest truth. But the reason why agents and managers are so good and so helpful is because we add value. We add credibility to what the writer's doing. And so and even though I'm a little guy in the middle of nowhere, people read my clients. I mean, they just do. I'm invited on set. I'm invited on lot. I don't go. I've gone twice. And they were very nice to me, by the way. I mean, when I got there, I was really shocked because, you know, I'm this little guy in the middle of Sacramento. And they're all, yeah, come on now. We'll leave a pass at the guardhouse. You just go. They just wanted to hear what I had to say. And what that tells me is they're trying to pay it forward too. You know what I mean? So we're all kind of trying to do that.
So a lot of what I'm hearing is don't go to an agent first. Go to a producer. Send the query letter to them. Don't send a query letter to an agent looking for somebody to shop your script around for you. You actually have to go do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that order. I would go to the producer first, because the producer is the one with the money, the time to get it shot. They're the ones with the distribution deal, right? So I would not pitch an agent. I would not pitch a manager. I would, unless I was a staff writer at Big Bang who just got laid off, then I would definitely find an agent and a manager who could help me get another writing gig. But in the absence of that, the smartest thing is to find producers. And here's another thing you might want to do. Write a short and find a director who'll shoot it for you. One of my clients did that. Behind my back, by the way, I fired him. And the reason I fired him is because there's rights to that short that could have led to a TV show and or a film, and he gave them away. Just like that. Gave them away. He was in such a hurry to see his little short made that he gave his rights away. Oh, my.
So in finding the producers, are you going on IMDb to do this?
Yeah, you have. If you want to be a professional,
you have to have pro IMDb. Pro.
Yes, you have to have pro. If you're a writer, you do what is required of you. You subscribe to Inktip. You subscribe to ISA. You read what's going on at Talentville. You subscribe for free at Stage 32, and you make sure you have IMDb Pro. If you want to be in this business, that's what you do. I pay for all that stuff for my clients except ISA. I expect them to pay for that themselves. I pitch my clients every Thursday when Inktip comes in. I've had successes there, gotten writing jobs, sold scripts. Actually sold a script and a couple of options. I've had success there. People say, oh, Inktip is like the National Enquirer. No, it's not. Everybody reads it. Everybody looks there. It's and further, when I sold my first screenplay through Inktip, I went down to meet all of them at Inktip. Because I said, okay, you're going to answer this New York Italian. I want to know what's going on. I want to see who's behind the screen when I'm, typing this stuff, right? Okay, where can I access scripts like The Revenant? Hey, Juan, how are you? Juan, go to the IMDb database, movie database, and this will shock you. I pulled up the script Ghostbusters on the IMDb database, and I would have not greenlit that. I would have not signed that writer. When I read Ghostbusters, it wasn't funny. Now, remember, you have to try and read it like you've never seen it. That's a hard thing to do. But suddenly, guess what happens when someone like me passes on something? Somebody else has a vision for it. That's why I don't tell people no. I tell them no, but. And that's what I told this lovely black girl in New York. I said, just because I said no doesn't mean anybody else will. That's just my taste. My taste is admittedly very narrow. Comedy is so hard to write. I read one comedy called Overkill. I have had this optioned almost every 2 to 3 years, $5,000 and $6,000 a clip. Still can't get it shot. 10 years later, I'm still shocked. And that's the other thing. If people think because they have a fast internet speed, this business is add water and stir, not the business for you, youngins. I'm just telling you, slower than molasses in winter. It really is.
Go ahead, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, why not?
I wanted to get back to this limited location versus low budget.
Thank you. See, I would have forgotten. You're a good producer. Okay. Dear Barbara, I have written a World War II film about da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I live in my mother's basement, and I'm very excited because I've been watching movies for 20 years. I think this story is great. Let me know when I can send you the screenplay. Now, I'm not going to slam the door on that person. I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't want the door slammed on me. I send them a form letter that took a lot of time to write. And what it says is, don't make your first screenplay a screenplay that forces me to go to Bank of America and ask for a $25 million loan for you when you're living in your mother's basement. I'm not going to do that. So I'm not even going to bother to read it. You're unproduced. You have no coverage. You haven't won anything. You have no pedigree. And by pedigree, I mean education. You can be a high school grad and be a star. What I'm talking about is a lot of the executive levels that I pitch, they're very into pedigree. That's just who they are. I'm not, but they are. If I'm going to stick my fanny in the air for you, you've got to understand, don't give me a World War II piece. Give me a woman gets a job taking care of a storage facility and it's haunted. One location, boom. I got the chills just thinking about it. By the way, 2 people pitched me that, and one of them is being shocked about a woman who gets stuck in a storage facility that's haunted. Why? Because a lot of guys and gals have daddy's money and a camera and they want to shoot a film. So they'll go to Inktip and they'll look for these single budget shoots, these low budget shoots, and they'll go, I'll buy it for $2,000 or I'll buy it for $3,000. I'll give the writer something on the back end. Yeah, right. But still, the writer now has 2 things going for them. They're in production. Oh, and guess what? Even if the movie isn't distributed, they're produced. Now they have a resume. Now show me the World War II movie, right? So use your head. If you're going to write something and you're starting out, even if you have pedigree, even if you know people in this business, let me tell you, kids, CFAA can hook you up everywhere you need to be. If you are not a member with CFAA, why not? You should be, because Lori and her team are doing all the heavy lifting for you, which means you need to pay attention. You need to be members, pay your dues, and participate. If this is your dream and you want it, nothing's free. So get to know CFAA because they are, for me, cosmic bumper cars. I'm meeting people, I'm talking to people, I'm coaching people. I now have access to this audience. Okay, so now you have an agent. Audience, you ready? Send me something great. It's got to be great. Can't be good. Has to be great. And it can't even be very good. Has to be great. Right? That doesn't mean, that's not to put you on the spot, but it's just to let you know you're competing against the best in the world. And that's why it's imperative that every writer markets themselves. You can't just count on the agent to market your work. I'll do it, but you need to, and I tell all my writers, if you're not marketing at least an hour every week and keeping track of everything you're doing, you're not doing it right. Your job is to trap lightning, just like mine is. It's no different. We do the same thing. So if you want me to do it, then you better do it too. So that's the low budget, high budget thing. Thank you, Jack. Such a wonderful
You might expound a little bit on what you said about what a non-union first-time writer might expect to derive as far as if he gets an option, what kind of monies are involved there, or if he's not part of the union, he has these illusions of grandeur, basically, about selling a script. What's the reality to it?
Well, illusions of grandeur, as you and I both know, are exactly that. They're illusions. Nobody doesn't want you to dream. That's not what we're talking about when we talk reality. You can dream all you want. I'll hold the balloon string for you. Go dream, okay? But the union is designed so that if a writer earns enough points because their film is distributed, then they can join the WGA. You don't join the WGA. You earn points to get in. I have one client who is WGA. All of my other clients are independent. Most of them don't want to join the WGA, and here's why. Because then they have to get signatory gaffers, electricians. Everybody has to be signatory to the guild. So it limits my writers, okay? So the difference is you have to decide if you're of a union mind. Nothing wrong with that. It's not really my bailiwick. I understand why it's good for the writer, but non-union, with lawyers, non-union isn't such a bad thing. I sold Lorene Lacey's screenplay. She's non-union. She still gets royalties. The Writers Guild called me up and said, hey, Barbara, we got Lorene's check here. You want us to send it to her? I go, yeah, I trust her. She'll pay me my commission. Oh, P.S., you can't collect commission on her royalties. I'm going to be a manager. I'm done with that. So Lorene gets her check. I send it to her. She's thrilled because it's Christmas time, right? She's getting a royalty check. She's not union. And the production company that shot the film, they may have used SAG actors. It's possible. I don't know. I didn't check it out. But they definitely didn't use union cameramen. They didn't. I mean, they don't need to. They don't. If they don't have to go signatory, they won't. Most companies that are the bigger ones, CAA, UTA, all the big shots, they're in a position where their clients are already guild members. So if they sell a script for their client, if John Blow sells a script for his client, Mr. Smith, they have to go signatory. There's just no, you're not allowed to do anything else. That's why a lot of people don't join. So when you talk about illusions of grandeur, the WGA understood this, and what they did was they set up an independent portal in the WGA.org website. You go to see what the non-union stuff is, the independent stuff, and it gives you a very good plumb line of what people make. It's very cool. Very cool. Now, I had somebody call me, the writer, very nice guy, says, I want $10,000 for the screenplay. I said, you're dreaming. They'll give you $1,000 to option it. If they can get investors, we'll negotiate at that time. We'll write a $5,000 floor. We'll write a $25,000. $25,000? This is $100. Go get somebody else. You know what? That's a good dream. I'm letting go of that string. And I bet you somebody will get that for him eventually. But I know I can't. Not with a screenplay like the one I read. I have a producer. Okay. Hi, Bob. Hi, Babz Road. I have a producer, showrunner, reality production house backing my project. Yay! Good for you. That's such a good feeling. I love hearing this. Because I hear no so much that when I hear yay from somebody, I have zero envy. I'm just busting with excitement. They've pitched to networks, but I haven't been introduced to an agent yet. Am I missing something, or should I wait until the network greenlights the project? Ooh, that's a great question. Well, first of all, have you been paid yet? I mean, have you gotten any runaround money? Did you sign anything? Is this all hypothetical? You need to write to me in an email. Lori, get this man's information and I'll answer him privately, okay? Can you do that for me, Lori? Jack, somebody? Yeah, if you can get me his info, I'll give him my private email. And also there's a public email for me, barbara.bitela@yahoo.com. But I want to know that they're coming through the show, so I'd rather they use the agency email. Lori has the agency email. Okay?
We'll make that happen.
Thank you.
You ask, we make it happen.
Oh, I know. That's why I love helping you guys. And I hope you help me because I need shoes.
So are you dealing with the studios, production companies directly, or are you just dealing with your writers?
I don't have to. That's the producer's job.
Yeah, what is your, where are you?
The producer does. I'm nowhere. I'm at the bottom of the food chain with the writer. So it's the writer and me. We pitch the producer. The producer says yes. The producer says, hi, I want to buy Jason's script. Here's our offer. I send it to my client. Jason says counter or I'll take it. So we do one or the other. And then we go into deal mode, which means the producer is now, he has the rights for the screenplay for a year and a half or a year. And while he has those rights, I can't shop that screenplay. And further, he's going out to get escrow money to set up the shoot. Understand? He may do a bank loan. He may have a rich daddy. He may have a rich mommy, whatever. He's going to go out and get money. And he's going to call me and say, we are in pre-pro. And there's 3 stages or 4 stages of what Jason will earn with each event. First stage, he might get, 25% of the $10,000 he's supposed to get. So he'll get $2,500. Second stage, he gets $2,500. Oh, he's got to do some rewrites. No problem. He agrees to do a few of them. Third stage, he gets $2,500. When they wrap, $2,500. So usually the writer's going to get 2.5% to 3% of principal photography budget. So Lorene Lacey's, and I'm not speaking out of turn. This is all public record. Lorene Lacey's budget on her film is $250,000. She got just under $7,000. That's 2.5% roughly. I make my 500, give 200 to Barack Obama. I'm good to go. She got royalties, which is nice. So it just depends, but that's what happens. Me and the writer pitch it, producer takes it, shops it for money. Now, if he can't get the money, he kicks it back to me. We also do something else called a non-exclusive right to shop, meaning that I have a client who's very hot, and the people that read him want him bad, but they have no dough. But they have passion, and they have oxygen. They also have boots on the ground, which I don't have in Los Angeles. Now, I don't need to be there. I'm worldwide because of the Writers Guild and Facebook and, all that. But they really like this guy. So they go, Barbara, I'm taking this to MGM first because I know the producer's there. I could sit down with them and talk some sense into them. Maybe we can get some runaround money for your client. I doubt it, but I need a non-exclusive. So what that means is I say go for it. You can shop it, but it's non-exclusive, meaning first in, first out. So if someone comes to me and says, hey, Barbara, I understand that you have ghost stories with Joe Blow, producer, and he's shopping to MGM. I actually have a hardcore offer for it. I go, okay, hold on, Jack. And I call my guy, and I go, do you have a hard offer for MGM yet? With the producer with MGM? No, I don't. Okay, I'm selling. Can you best this offer? No, I can't. He loses the non-exclusive, and we sell to the buyer. First in, first out. So what he's done is he's been running around with product, so he's not caught with his pants down. He's always got something, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's it's like having a free marketing agent, right?
So if a writer comes to one of your clients comes to you and they've got a script, do you just try to market the one script, or if I have 3 or 4 scripts on the shelf, do I send them all out and hope that something sticks?
I will read everything the client sends me. I prefer clients to have more than one because that tells me something about who I'm dealing with. But that's, like I said earlier, with Clyde Santana and Playground Miracle. Just because he doesn't have a lot of scripts doesn't mean I'm not in love with that one script because it's terrific. But I prefer if you send me all of your material. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to love it. And it does mean if I see and hear a hook in it, I'm going to kick back notes. I'm going to give you notes. I expect you to do them and apply them. There's some people I don't do that with. Jason Bortz is one of them. Why? Because he's a writer, director, actor. He doesn't need my notes. He knows what's supposed to be there. And happily, he delivers every time. Now, Craig Clyde is my busiest client and my most produced. He wants notes from me. He says, Barbara, I tend to get very tunnel vision. You're a good editor. I trust your judgment on dialogue. Send me your notes. And I'll send him some stuff, and he'll use it or he won't. I had one writer who, and I take everything. If I sign the guy, before I sign him, I go, what else you got? I want to find out, right? And if they have more, I'll take it all, and I'll expect them to craft a perfect pitch for me. I'll read through it. Like I said, I'll give them notes if they need them. If they don't, and I tell them, put it on Ink Tip, go to ISA, start marketing yourself. I'm taking this out. And I'll take it out to tracking board. First, I'll do the shotgun approach. We go on tracking board, meaning I don't go one-on-one with producers. I pitch them all at once on tracking board. I like that for two reasons. It gets eyes on my stuff, it gets eyes on my company, and it gets eyes on my writer. Free publicity. And I've gotten requests. I sold something through. I sold more. I helped sell morphine through that, but not the drug. The movie.
What?
Yeah. No. Oh my God! Can't believe I just said that.
Got a little side hustle.
A very bad dog. Hey, listen, that's very popular in Southern California. I didn't say that either.
Is there any one particular genre that writers should or should not be concentrating on?
Oh, I think they should focus on what they want. If you're a Netflix person, if you're an Amazon person, you see what's going, you see what's out there. Look, I can guarantee you this. The screenplay I sold for Lorene was completely rewritten. They kept the hook and that was it. Writer got paid. And producers do that for a reason. They want the hook. They don't want to get sued when they bring on another writer, and they will do that. Happens 99% of the time. I tell my writers, if you're married to every word, I'm not the agent for you, because I'm not going to go to bat for you if I can sell the hook. They want the hook. Now, honest to God, if you sit down in a room with a bunch of writers and you tell them you have an agent, I can promise you they won't know what to do. They won't. Because they've been so conditioned to think agent. Your job is just to create. I need stuff with a hook. It's got to have a great hook. I have this one screenplay called Lockdown. It's about a subway car that's taken hostage in New York. One of the people on the subway car has, guess what, COVID. Another one's a terrorist holding it hostage. There's 8 or 9 people, single location, optioned it right away. Couldn't get it sold. It wasn't called COVID. It wasn't called Lockdown back then. It's called Random. Now it's called Lockdown. This screenplay is so tight. It's such a cheap shoot. Some kid somewhere with daddy's money and a camera should be shooting this right now. Can't get eyes on it. Don't know why. So I just do what I do. I don't know if I answered your question. Did I?
Close enough.
I don't think I did.
Close enough.
You might have to play it back. I'm so sorry. I don't think I did.
Well, I was just thinking, you, like you said, you do not have a vision maybe for the apocalyptic type movies, but so you would not be a good candidate for someone to send sci-fi to. But should a writer go and research through IMDb all the producers in his genre before sending out his material and just send them out to those? Or should he shotgun?
He should do both. Absolutely. You put it on Ink Tip. It's inexpensive. Look, having Ink Tip is a lot like having a very low cost publicist, because your name gets out there, right? You got to be ready. Just because I don't get sci-fi, and by the way, Arrival is like, oh my dog, I own that. Yeah, Jack, right? I own that film. It's perfect. The film is perfect. It is perfect. Now, Amy Adams, is that her name, the star? She could read a Chinese food menu and I'd listen to her, and I'd pay to hear her read a Chinese food menu, but it's perfect. And I open the script and I go, oh, I suck at this. I got to get better at reading screenplays. No, as it was told to me, it's just not your ear. You don't think like a director. That was based on a short story, Jack.
I do know that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I actually have that book on my to read list.
Oh, you know what? definitely read it and tell me what you think. Email me. So Rick, honestly, they should shotgun and pitch through Inktip. It's a great way to get your name out there. It never hurts. See, my hair's up now. It's hot in here.
That's our fault. Sorry to make you sit under the hot light.
Oh, no, it's not that. My air conditioner works great. It's just I can't believe how hot it is outside. It must be. Yeah, it must be.
So, can you give us some advice about pitching?
Sure. If you guys would like, I will post a sample pitch on Facebook that is Ed Helped Me Craft. It's, we think, the quick in and out that I spoke about. You got to keep it brief. The problem I'm facing, this is sort of something I wasn't expecting, but I get it. Nobody reads anymore. They just don't. Their phones are on. And if I can break through them on the phone, lucky, I literally have to tell them, when I read this script, Mr. Producer, I turned off my phone, I put my feet up, and I made popcorn because this writer does that for me. Please put your best and most trusted reader on it. And 99% of the time, they'll say, no, thanks. You know, they'll say, I read it. It wasn't for me, whatever. It wasn't quite what I was looking for. No worries. I get that. Like I said, it's like falling in love. You got to trap lightning. Very hard to do. This is my job. I have a quarter and I have to go into a casino with, 2,000 or 3,000 slot machines. And I have to find the one slot machine that pays $1 million. That's what an agent and a manager does. Now, obviously, it helps to have a Rolodex. My Rolodex is very tiny. That's why I do stuff like this to help, make outreach. And again, guys, if you're listening to this, you got to pay attention to CFAA because Lori and her team, they're doing the heavy lifting for you. So make sure you become a member. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the show. I've known Lori for years. In fact, Ed introduced me to her. But they are your networking wheelhouse. You make sure you get to know them. You pay your dues. You show up for meetings. You ask if you can volunteer. Or you ask for help. Whatever. What's this say? Cheryl Beeler Winton. Hi, Cheryl. Hi. Should we go to pitch for? Yeah, okay. Oh, man. That's the killer question, isn't it? I was asked to speak, as you can imagine, because I'm very comfortable in front of an audience, at several pitch fests. And I walked into a room. The first time I was in a pitch fest, the room was maybe 200 people. And I walked in and I said to them exactly what I just said to you. All right, you have an agent, now send me great. And they're all, what? What did she just say? She's our agent now? Yes. Here's my name. Here's my email. You have an agent, send me great. I got 2 scripts. The first one was Lorene Lacey's, and I sold it. The second one, my compact broke, and I was complaining to the audience. I said, I'm sorry, I'm perspiring at my compact broke. You're just going to have to deal with a sweaty Italian. And an hour later, after I spoke, this woman came up to me, Lynn Beck. She handed me a CoverGirl compact. I signed her last year. I signed her quite by accident. She said, hey, I got the screenplay I need your help on. I said, you don't need my help, Lynn. You're produced. What are you talking about? She said, no, I need boots on the ground, and I know you pitch. So I did. I got people looking. But mostly she said this, people won't read me anymore unless I tell them I have an agent. And that's where I can come in handy. Because if someone says to you, if they say to you, Jack or Rick, hey, Rick, I want to read that. Have your agent pitch me. You call me and I walk it in for you. Now, the understanding is, obviously, I'm going to get the commission if it goes. But that means you have to get an offer, and you have to get an offer you can live with. So, if anybody does that, people say to you guys in the audience, producer said I have to have an agent walking in. That's where I come in. That's why I help doing things like this, because we help each other. Yeah, I only get 15%, but you might get produced, you might get a check, and that means you'll have a credit and some street cred, right? So everybody wins. But yeah, pitch fests, I don't love them. Pitch fests are wonderful for you to learn about the grit and grime of the bottom of the food chain of what we all do, okay? It's reality. It shows you your competition. It shows you who's who in the zoo. But typically the people hearing your pitches are low-level folks, like I was when I started. Ed sent me to 2. Yeah, I had no juice. Ed said, not signing them, they're a team, can't do teams, they fight. They said, I wrote this line, they said, we don't sign teams, we just don't sign teams, I don't want to hear it, we don't sign teams, don't read teams. Okay, I won't read any teams. So you have to be prepared for a 0 net result, meaning you have to go in with a kind of open mind, knowing that you're just going really there for oxygen, to learn from other people, to hear what people are doing, to see what's going on. You're kind of like a fly on the wall in a way, because there are very few success stories out of pitch fests. I happen to be lucky, but they're not common. I can tell you they're not common. But if you think it will help your confidence and improve your chops and get you some eyes on your work, then you go. And be prepared to come away with nothing. But it's like my father used to say to me, Barbara, you can sue anybody, but winning is a whole other matter. If you can lose like a man, then you sue. If you can walk out of there and just says you lose, and you can hold your head high and say, well, I tried, then you do it, right? It's common sense on steroids. It's coping skills. Oh my God, I told this writer no. And you'd think I told him I needed a kidney. Calm down. It's one script. It's one agent. I'm a nobody. There's so many people out there, Johnny. Go find them. You got talent. Go do it. I'm lying to the guy. The script sucked. It's bad spelling, bad formatting. But I don't lead with my chin, right? Coach, guide, and direct. But why don't you love it? Why won't you help me? And then I get the guilt trips too. Now that's yeah, that's a whole other show. And
so there must be different styles of writers. I mean, who do you like to work with? Who do you know is going to be trouble when they contact you?
I don't sign them. I fire them. I have a client in New York. He is the biggest pain he's just like me, loudmouth Italian from the East Coast, right from my neighborhood. Signed him for a very good script, worked with the producer on the rewrites. The producer called me and said, Barbara, it's not coming around. I said, all right, I'll tell him. And they had to let him go. But before that happened, he sold a short behind my back and signed a contract without me even looking at it and said I was his agent. You're fired. What? You're fired. Blew up my phone for weeks, didn't answer him. Emailed me for weeks, didn't answer him. The script I shopped for him 6 months earlier got a hit. I called him up. I said, we have to talk business. I'm not your agent, but I am your agent of record according to tracking board for this particular screenplay. Someone wants to read this script. Is it still available? Oh, Barbara, are you forgiving me? I'm not mad at you. Is it available or isn't it? Yes, it is. I sent it over. They said it's not exactly what they wanted. The writing was good, but it wasn't there. I hear this a lot. I also hear this. People say, have your agent or manager send it. That is a kind way of producers saying, I don't want to be bothered. So the reality of that has to be understood, okay? Just because someone says, a producer wants to read it. Yay, better than a sharp stick in the eye. But it also might be a nice way of them closing the door on you so they're not stalked. Because I have had someone come to my house. Very nice guy, very respectful, scared the crap out of me. I called the WGA. I go, get my address off that website. Oh, my dog. So, yeah, so if the writers I like to work with are the visual ones that are white on the page, white on the page, white on the brevity is the soul of wit. Craig Clyde can read them all day and twice on Sunday. Jason Bortz, he's got a little more ink on the page, but not much. And he's such a visual writer that I'm completely whisked away by his work. Craig Sabin, this comedy that I've been trying to sell, it's great. I have a manager in Los Angeles who's shopping it for us. She's shocked. She's like, I can't believe we can't get this. I said, I know. What are you going to do?
So,
those are my three favorites.
We talked about pitch. Yeah, we talked about pitch fest. We talked about pitch fest. What about screenwriting competitions? Like for, against? I mean,
I think they're a great idea if they're legitimate because it gives you pedigree. Remember we talked about that earlier? People in this industry, the reason why a screenplay is still 12-point Courier is because that's how we were all trained to read. So our eye, it's familiar, right? We can read fast because that's what we used to. Well, what happens is all these contests, they're not as regimented as we are. So someone might place in something and send me in 12-point Arial, and I'll kick it back to them. And they'll say, well, I placed. Why won't you read it? Because I wasn't trained to read Arial. My eye doesn't dig it, man. So can you kick it back to me, 12-point Courier? And they will. But what happens is it's a good opening line to a pitch. Hi there, a screenplay, Ghost Alley, just placed the top 5 at Blumhouse and their competition. And you really might want to take a look at this. Cheap shoot. Here's the log line, 100 pages. No gore, and here's the quick synopsis. You could reach me at. Oh, and by the way, make sure you put your contact information on your script because half the people don't. They don't put their name. They don't put their phone number, and I'm all, who is this? I couldn't find a writer once. I wanted to sign him. I couldn't find him. Couldn't find the email. It was like a ghost in my email. I'm looking. I'm trying to find words that match. Couldn't do it. It was a good script too. So now I tell people, I send them, please give me your info.
So you mentioned earlier some of the things that you're disdained or things that turn you off. 122 pages, a lot of black type, typos. What other pitfalls do writers avoid to be able to get read?
Well, for me, brevity is the soul of wit. And I would rather see someone who is a very good wordsmith use their wordsmithing skills rather than show me how flowery they can write. Meaning, for example, I got a screenplay from Craig Clyde. Exterior, Chicago streets. Chicago in its heyday, that modeling town. Got it right away, right? And then I have the first guy I see, which is a cop, another guy with him, and we're into this. You got to start the story in the middle, meaning, medias res, right? You start in the middle. You start when the scene is ending. Too many people think they have to start in the beginning. I'm here to tell you, take off the cookie, give me the cream in the middle, right? So write long, write ugly duckling. You have my permission to write pure junk, but then it's your job, not mine, to go through it and clean it up. I sent Craig Clyde sent me a screenplay called Water at Killingsworth. It's the Pelican Brief. It's great. It's brand new, very fresh, good thriller for a woman. Fantastic, very physical, very smart female role. Oh, she manages to stay one step ahead of everybody and by the skin of her teeth. It's really great. So we changed the title to Killingsworth because it was just a tighter title. And I said to him, you got a sex scene in here. If that were me, I wouldn't be thinking about that. I wouldn't. Not if that. I know they got my kid and that guy is on me and this guy's climbing in my window. I wouldn't be thinking about that. He goes, you're right. And it went. Now it was about 115 pages. He got it down to about 109, which was okay. 109, I think it was. But it read better. It read more real. Sometimes scenes have to go. But if you could start something in the middle and end it quickly and make sure that it has the rising action it needs to push the story ever forward. And sometimes scenes can be cut, and sometimes I have a friend, a client I represent, Robert Powers. I go, I need more description here. Can you tell me something else? And they'll tell him, and he'll say, well, this is what's happening. I go, give me one scene, 2 characters, 3 lines, and he'll do it. It just depends. But I want to see wordsmithing. I don't want to see flowery. I don't need to know about the birds in the trees and the snowflakes falling on the boulders. I don't need all that. It slows the story down. It's novel writing. That's what I was saying earlier. You pull me out of the story when you're giving me landscape, unless the landscape's relevant. You know, boulders, sunset. We hear the sound of hooves. Okay, now I'm with you. The hooves are approaching. They're getting louder. Now I'm with you. Hooves approach, not hooves approaching, right? Hooves approach. In the distance, a bell rings. Boom. Yeah, get me in, out.
Generally,
Hey, hi,
go ahead.
Pumpkin.
Oh, Laura's back on. Okay.
My hero. Hi.
Hi. Okay, I'm unmuted now finally, and we lost Jack. Can we get Jack back in? Yay!
Apparently, I'm unstable. Or my connection is anyway.
That's not true. Your connection is.
We've known that a long time, though, Jack.
I was going to say that is not news, and we love you anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's not a surprise.
That's okay. I was having glitchy things last week that I have no idea where it came from. So hopefully all of this was communicated effectively and we can see everybody. And I want to check and see if we have any final questions. Nothing. How short a script is saleable? That's a good question.
Oh, it's a great question. If it's 90, you're good. 90 pages is good. Because it's going to get rewritten. Got to sell the hook. Got to sell the hook. Got to sell the hook. The thing that makes this lockdown screenplay so good is it's got current events, for now, and it's got a contained location with a usual suspects cast and 2 reveals that blew my mind. Did not see them coming. Didn't see them coming. I read all the time and I didn't see them coming. But Jason does that to me. Craig Clyde sometimes. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Let's see. And got some chat going on, and people, you'll have to on this interview, you'll be able to link to the full interview on Facebook, and you'll be able to view all of the comments that, if you can't see it right now on screen, you guys will be able to.
I will post a sample of a pitch that Ed and I crafted. It, on the face of it, it looks a little long. It could definitely be shortened, no question, especially if you do email. But because most people just do email. We don't even take snail mail anymore. We took our mailing address off of the WGA website. There's just no point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't want people having my home address, because when that guy showed up, I thought, well, I was lucky. He was nice.
Yeah.
Some guy goes, you didn't read my script, and he's mad at me. How am I going to explain that? Here, have a banana. You know, here's some cookies. Or we have some cereal in the back. All I need is milk. You know, I mean, what do you say to that?
Yeah. No,
I can't say that I blame them, but I wouldn't show up at somebody's house. I sent a screenplay. I said to the guy, he said, what did you think that was wrong with it? I said in an email, are you sure you want to know? And he said, yes, I absolutely do. I said again, are you positive? And he said, yes. And I sent back 2 sentences. And I got back, dear Babz, fade in, you. That's right. And it's only my opinion. That's the other thing. So opinions are like butts. Everybody's got one. So it's just my opinion. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah. No, the truth hurts, and people don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. And it's that's how you grow. That's how you grow in your craft.
That's the point. You nailed it. That is the point, Lori, because that's why we coach, guide, and direct, because writers can grow. They absolutely can. If any industry has proved that to me, it's this one. Because I started out writing press releases, and 10 years later, I was writing novels.
Right.
I mean, you absolutely.
The point I wanted to make too, which I said earlier, out of everyone in production that is limited because of COVID and the pandemic and the lockdown and issues that we have, writers are in their best possible place to be able to, focus and do their craft and be prepared. So when things open up and production can begin, I want to see some incredible content that's been created and massaged and perfected over all of this period, because, you know, you have no reason not to. You have no reason not to. And
No, because all you need is your imagination and a computer. And if you're not sure where to start, email me and I'll send you a list of subject matter that I teach in my class, recommended books that might coach, guide, and direct you. You're not in a vacuum.
no, send that to me, because not only can we share that, we can post it on our website. So we have resources and things that
Okay, I'll
can,
do that.
you know, help people refer to when they want to or they have time to. But more than anything, I want everybody to recognize what a valuable opportunity that you have in Babz. As you can see, what it takes to pitch effectively is to have somebody who's truly championing the content. And if you don't have that, or if you can't do that yourself, and let me tell you, it's the hardest fucking job ever. Selling yourself and selling your work is so hard. So you have this resource and you have this opportunity to reach out to her. She is opening herself up, and I would love to see those of you who can take advantage of it and recognize that she is a partner of not just local filmmaking, which is, you know, what we, of course, you know, want to show all of our love for, but again, we have a much larger audience now that I think it could open up some doors to see some cool stuff happening. So,
and as usual, Lori, you nailed it, because you asked earlier about Pitch Fest, Jack or Rick, and it reminded me just now with what you just said, Lori, not to put too fine a point on it, but you're right. Pitching is hard, but I'm lucky I'm good in a room. But here's why I'm good in a room. I'm not going in to sell. That's not your job at Pitch Fest. You're not going to sell anything. Your job is to have a conversation about who you are as a writer, how you came up with the idea, what brought you to the table today. Because you're not going to sell anything at Pitch Fest. It's very rare. I didn't buy Lorene. She pitched me an idea. I said, oh, that sounds like a clever hook. Santa's daughter working in the post office. I like it. Send me the script. She tweaked it. We sold it. Got lucky. Somebody found it on Inktip. It was it. All the ducks lined up. But I'm good in a room. I'm lucky. But that's because I'm just conversing. I remember going to Morgan Creek. They were very nice to me. They thought I was a gallo, one of the gallows, which I'm not. I'm a gallo, but not one of the gallows. They know. I didn't say anything, so I got in there. But anyway, I sit down, and they're very nice. This guy, Larry, comes out and he goes, so what do you got? And I said, well, I've got basically Quantum Leap. And the story came to me quite by accident. A friend of mine is an award-winning playwright, and his friend came to visit him in Sacramento. What's his name? I think I know him. And now we're talking, right? And I pitch it, and I go, yeah, it's kind of like Ghost, except it's weirder and funnier. He goes, send it to me. That's it. Didn't sell it, but we're just conversing. I'm not trying to sell anything. It's not my job. My job is to expose.
hey, there's a question. Let me see.
Yes.
Oh, where is it? Do you read documentary film proposals or represent any documentary filmmakers?
I stink. Another blind spot. Thank you for asking. The person you want to talk to about that is Jason Bortz. In fact, Lori put a tack in this. You might want to do a show with Jason about that only. He's done a couple, and he's very good at it. Yep. So, yeah, get with him, and he can give you,
Yeah, he's a good interview no matter what. So
yeah,
and
but he knows that he knows everything about this industry, but he's done documentaries, so he knows what's involved.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we could go on forever, and I know that there's a million questions, and it makes me realize why, when we did this before, I think it was like a 4 or 5 hour physical, workshop where I think we had.
Yeah, it was 3.5, I think, almost 4.
Yeah.
Fun. I lost a lot of weight that day.
I wondered how you would do this, because that's what I remember, is that you did not stop the whole time. And I thought, oh God, how's she going to sit on camera? And you did great.
Thank you. One of the things I did before teaching in Sacramento, thank you. Can't do it without Rick, can't do it without Jack. Thank you, Reggie. One of the things I did before this is I had the podcast Babz Buzz.
Oh, right.
So my producer was in Australia, and I would log in Roseville, and you got to wrap up, okay? And he would call me up, and we'd get it done, and we did that. So I'm kind of used to doing this. I'm not thrilled with the whole visual. I don't have any makeup on my dog, but if you can stand it, I can. So you look good, Lori. You look really you just look so happy.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm stuck at home, but we're making the most of it, and I dig being able to see you guys. Thank
Me
you.
too. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. This is humbling because like I said, and when I say I'm a nobody, I don't mean it like that. What I mean is people go, agent? Yeah, no, it's agent.
You know, I'll tell you, anybody you can add to your team, if you're a writer, I think that makes you very important, and it's good objective perspective that all writers should be getting, as well as any professional representation. So if you can give them any amount of that, then you're a super valuable person to have, on their team.
Table reads are huge. If they can rotate a little club of people, right, Jack? Am I right, Rick? You do 10 pages.
Yeah.
Subject matter.
Table read online. I know other people have done it. So.
Oh my gosh, I think that's a wonderful idea. You pick 3 screenplays. You do 5 pages each. You get it done. Like you did with us, Lori. You read the slug lines and the action lines, and then Jason read the role. There was only one person, I think, at the time, because it was one character and scene. And you do 5 pages, and you'd be surprised, writers, when you hear the stuff read back to you. Go, I wrote that. Oh, I gotta fix that. Or that's pretty cool. I'm keeping that.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Babz. It's been great hanging out with you.
Thank you. Same with you.
Thank you, Babz.
Thank you. You always make me feel good. You guys make me feel so special.
On our Facebook page, so if anybody didn't catch the whole interview, they'll be able to go back and see it at capitalfilmarts.org. We love you. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of the CFAA Film Talk. Stay tuned for what's up to come. Thanks, guys.
Okay.